Hey YouTube, how's it going today? In this video, I want to tell you about a company called ONCY Biotech, ticker symbol ONCY. This company has a very exciting product with tons of potential, and they have an absolutely dynamite-looking chart pattern with tons of accumulation going on. After I tell you a little bit about the company, we're going to get into their stock chart, plus I have some other nice-looking stock charts I want to show you as well. Now, if you're new to my channel, I like to invest and trade in typically lower priced stocks. If that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any future trading or investing ideas. But please remember, I am not a financial advisor, so please do all of your own research before investing in any of these stocks. If you've never heard of this company before, ONCY Biotech is a clinical stage company focused on the development of an intravenously delivered immuno-oncolytic virus called PolariorEP. The company is targeting solid tumors and hematological malignancies. ONCY Biotech has partnered with multiple big pharma players, including Pfizer and Merck, to explore the efficacy of PolariorEP in combination with oncology drugs belonging to different classes across a range of cancer indications. So these collaborations with multiple big pharma players adds tons of credibility to the company's technology platform. Now, the global immune checkpoint inhibitors market is anticipated to cross $25 billion by next year. Unlike surgery, radiotherapy, and chemotherapy, checkpoint inhibitors do not directly target the tumor cells. Instead, they amplify and accelerate the immune system in the patient's body to identify and then destroy the tumor cells. Now, if you're still confused on what they do, I don't blame you, but here is a short clip that will better help explain it.
The purpose of immunotherapy is to stimulate the patient's immune system to recognize, target, and eliminate their cancer, largely through a T-cell or adaptive response. So what we're trying to do is prime the immune system to recognize these lesions and eliminate them.
Immune checkpoint inhibitors represent pharma's largest oncology franchise.
Immune checkpoint inhibitors are a specific form of immuno-oncology product. What they're doing is, as opposed to targeting the cancer cell, they're actually targeting the immune system so that it can better recognize the tumor and be active against it. Now, this is anticipated to be a $25 billion franchise by 2022, and this despite the fact it only works in 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 patients.
In an effort to grow the market, Big Pharma has expanded its exploration into oncolytic viruses, OVs.
Pharma is specifically looking at oncolytic viruses because they do work in concert with checkpoint inhibitors. For an immune checkpoint inhibitor to work, it requires the patient to have a very inflamed tumor. By that I mean a lot of T cells in the tumor. Because of the selective replication of an OV, it promotes an inflammatory event, turning cold tumors hot. Our approach is to prime the immune system to work with these agents to better target the tumor, to make the tumor look like a foreign entity, and to work with the immune system and the checkpoint inhibitors to eliminate the disease. What the end result is more patients will be eligible to respond to checkpoint blockade on clinical trials. What we do know is this inflamed phenotype is associated with better outcomes in patients, and we've actually seen this in a previous randomized study.
We took the survival and moved it from 10.8 months to 21 months in our target population of HR-positive, HER2-negative metastatic breast cancer patients.
Matt co-founded an R&D company to explore more effective options for targeting cancer tumors. The team is developing a drug called PolariorEP.
What we're working with is called PolariorEP. It's derived from a naturally occurring reovirus, so it's not modified, which means we don't require gowning or handling precautions. It's considered a vaccine, but we introduce the virus into the bloodstream where it will travel through the body and it selectively replicates in cancer cells, creating this pro-inflammatory phenotype that we're looking for. Once we introduce the virus into the bloodstream, it travels through the whole body looking for target cancer cells. It selectively replicates in the cancer, and we actually see no replication in normal tissue in several studies. But this replication signals to the immune system there's a problem. What it then does is it draws natural killer cells to the site of infection, which cause tumor destruction. This then educates our T-cell response, so we get a rush of inflammatory cells into the tumor, and in effect we've vaccinated the patient against their own disease if we're seeing successful replication. And you can imagine it's very empowering for the patients because they're using their own immune system rather than a noxious chemical to eliminate the disease from their body.
Oncolytics Biotech is developing Pyloriorep, a safe and well-tolerated intravenously delivered immuno-oncolytic virus that targets only cancer cells and makes them visible to the immune system for the first time.
One of the unique characteristics of this virus is it's not modified, it's a naturally occurring virus. Because of this, it's actually considered more of a vaccine approach. If you modify a virus, which is most common, it's considered gene therapy and it requires special handling because it's a novel organism that doesn't exist in the environment. So bleaching is required, UV inactivation, in some instances isolating the patient, which is something we don't have to do with a naturally occurring product.
Oncolytics Biotech is partnering with major developers of checkpoint inhibitors and other immune oncology drugs.
Creating this pro-inflammatory effect in the tumor can lead to better outcomes for patients, and we've seen this recently completed randomized study where we nearly doubled overall survival. Now, because we're acting through the immune system and because we're creating new T cells, we've been able to partner our program with industry leaders to see if this can enhance the activity of immune checkpoint inhibitor in breast cancer, and we're working with parties such as Roche, BMS, Merck, Pfizer, Merck KGaA, and Incyte to really explore if we can increase the benefit of immune checkpoint inhibition.
Pyloriorep is in phase 2 clinical trials and has been used to treat over 1,000 patients. Find out more at oncolyticsbiotech.com.
All right, now if we head over to MarketBeat and check out what the insiders have been up to, we can see all they've been doing is buying. Absolutely no sells reported. And everybody knows what Peter Lynch used to say. Insiders can sell for any given number of reasons, but when they buy, it's usually only for one reason, and that reason is they believe this sucker's going up. All right, so let's head over to Tip Ranks and see what the analysts have to say. First off, they rate this stock as a strong buy, and based on 5 analysts offering 12-month price targets for Oncolytics Biotech in the last 3 months, the average price target is $8.50 with a high forecast of $15 and a low forecast of $4.77. So the average price target represents a 127% increase from the current levels, and the lowest forecast is almost $1 higher than the current levels. All right, so let's head over to my TC2000 charting software and get a look at their chart. This is the daily chart of ONCY, and as we can see, this stock has been trending up. It has been slowly grinding higher ever since September with a few rocket moves in between. We had this huge move back in November that culminated a little over $4 a share, and then it came crashing right back down to earth, but then slowly started grinding back up again. That had another explosion in mid-February, jumping over $4.50 a share before it came crashing back down. Now, it came through the 50-period simple moving average, which is this blue line on the chart, and found some support and then started to rise back above it, and then volume came back in and exploded just a few days ago, but it has pulled back and it's holding this T line, this white line on the chart, which is the 8-period exponential moving average. If you have this on your chart, you'll notice stocks stay above it when they get into an accelerated uptrend. So this looks like this could be the very beginning of the next move. There's no guarantee that this is going to take off, but usually stocks look like this before they do. You know, if we go back to November, jumped above the T line, held it, and then exploded higher. Jumped above it in February, held it, then exploded higher again. And if you look for this in charts, you're going to see it over and over again, especially in lower price stocks. But let's go to the 15-minute chart real quick and take a look at the price action underneath the surface a little bit, and we can see that it had this huge move up on the 23rd up to the 25th, and now it's kind of been making a little bit of a symmetrical triangle, and it looks like it is poised to break out of it. Now, there's no guarantee this thing is going to break out, but man, this is an absolutely beautiful looking chart pattern. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if this thing just explodes either tomorrow or next week. I actually don't own any of this stock yet. I couldn't make up my mind today, but the more I look at this chart pattern, the more I like it. Let's go back to the daily chart real quick. Back it out a little bit, but we can see that this thing goes on absolutely mammoth runs when it wants to. Back in 2019, this thing went from about 52 cents a share all the way up over $6 a share in just a couple of months. But if we go to the weekly chart, Back it out all the way, we can see this thing became publicly traded in 2008, and it made it to a high of over $60 a share at one point. So this company had been recognized as having a lot of potential, and it looks like they're starting to get it back. It did come crashing back down to earth for many years, but now if we zoom in a little bit, we can see that it has practically been going sideways since 2016, and it's set up a pretty nice base. And ever since early 2020, you can see the huge volume that's pouring into this stock. So I think everything is set in place for ONCY to just go on a mammoth run. I think really all you need is just some more good news coming out of their treatments, and this thing could be on a crazy run. Now, the important level to watch on ONCY, of course, would be right over $4. We can see in the last several months, every time it got over $4, selling came into the market. So we need to get past that $4 area and take out all the sellers if there's any more sellers waiting in that area, and it looks like it is about ready to do it. So I'm keeping a sharp eye on ONCY. I might buy it as early as tomorrow. What I would like to see is it hold that T line, this white line, for another day or two, but I'm thinking this thing is kind of like a ticking time bomb. I just wouldn't be surprised at all if this thing just exploded higher in the next couple of days. All right, so let's jump over to some other nice looking chart patterns. The first one I want to show you is Target Hospitality Corporation, ticker symbol TH. And we actually talked about this one in the Patreon group, and this is one of the better looking charts that we went over. We can see that this chart had, or this stock came all the way up to around $2 a share, and it found some pretty heavy resistance right in that area. Finally broke through it in February, only to reverse a couple of days later. Came all the way down to this yellow line, which is the 200 period simple moving average, found support there, which is important, and then jumped back above these moving average, tested support again, failed, but then kept putting pressure on it, and then finally exploded through it just a few days ago. Now, after you get that explosion, what you want is the stock to hold near the highs, and then by the time this 8-period exponential moving average catches up to it, if it can find support there, then you could be off to the races. Now, there's no guarantee the stock is going to take off, but if you start looking at chart patterns, you just flip through a bunch of them and you find ones that went on pretty decent runs, it usually starts with a combination like this. And the beautiful thing about this combination right here, it's usually just above a support area, so you have a well-defined risk area. You know, if this thing does happen to turn around and collapse, you just put your stop loss right under $2 a share, and you know, you take your loss and you move on to the next trade. But if this is starting the big move up, you're getting in near the beginning of the move. And if we back the chart out, you know, we can see this thing could easily get over, you know, $4 a share in no time. So TH definitely can go on big runs, as we can see in June of 2020. And plus, this thing has just been just coiling up. It's putting so much pressure on that $2 area, and now it finally broke through it. Had a very nice long base here of about 6 months or so. So usually when you get a breakout after a base of that long, usually get a sustainable run. So I really like the odds of TH getting into a nice uptrend. So it's a very, very nice looking chart pattern. Next one I wanted to show you was SSNT. Now, SSNT has been making a rather similar pattern. You can see that it had a clear-cut resistance area of right around $7. I would say $7.50, let's call it. And it looks like it might just be starting to break through it now. So this is not one that you want to buy just yet. You want it to break through that resistance area and then hold for a day or so. But it did find support at the 50-period simple moving average just a few days ago. So that is a very good sign. I would expect some follow through on SSNT, and then hopefully it gets a little bit of that consolidation above this resistance area that it just broke through, and of course that will become support once it's above it, and that will be your clear cut area to put your stop loss, because you always want to keep your risk as low as possible. But if this thing can jump above this resistance area and just hold for a couple of days, and then if this white line catches up to it, that could be the boost that it needs to head towards $11 a share. So I'll be watching SSNT closely, and so should you, because it is a nice looking chart pattern. All right, the last one I want to show you is one I've talked about before on the channel, and this one is NDRA. And we can see NDRA. I actually traded this before the market turned around. It stopped me out in this trade. But we can see that NDRA doesn't look like the show is over for NDRA just yet. It found support at the 50-period simple moving average, and it looks like it is just dying to break through this $3 area. So if this thing can continue to find momentum and get up towards this $3 range, I would expect a pretty decent move. It does break through it, because this is a very nice looking triangle consolidation pattern, and these usually end up with pretty decent sized breakout. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we get a move similar to what it had back in January. So I am going to be keeping a close eye on NDRA. This one has had some pretty big swings, so if you do decide to take a position in this one, you have to realize that this thing can come crashing down just as fast as it goes up. So you want to use some proper money management, probably take a little bit smaller of a position to compensate for that extra risk, because this thing, it can really move down, but it can really move up too. So when you ever get a stock that is this volatile, you just want to take, or at least I like to take, a little bit smaller of a position to account for that potential, huge move down. I don't want to take on too much risk, but NDRA looks like it is poised to break through $3 a share in the near future, especially if this market remains strong. We had a pretty good update today. Now, of course, the way the market's been going lately, there could be a big down day tomorrow, and that could wreck some charts, but I do think that we're probably going to have a rather tame day tomorrow, just because it's the day before a holiday, because the market's not open on Friday. So I would expect the market to just kind of hang around in a pretty small range. I wouldn't expect a huge move unless some ridiculous news comes out. And that's a good thing for these chart patterns. If the last thing you want is huge moves down in the market that can wreck these nice chart patterns. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions about any of these stocks, or if you have any other stocks you want me to take a look at, please leave them down there in the comment section. I will get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, guys, and until next time, take care.